Hey, what's going on? And welcome back to this Step It Up Entrepreneur podcast. Your host, Tomas Keenan, coming at you guys today. Back here in the home office, just got back into the great state of Texas and spent the last couple of days in Nashville, Tennessee. I might have talked about it on last week's podcast, but since August of 2019, I've been speaking for the MEA, the Mobile Electronics Association. They've got an event called Knowledgefest. And they host 4 events across the country in different various venues, regions. And this year, continuing my showing up there and basically just speaking and pouring knowledge and helping others succeed in business. One of the venues changed from Indianapolis at the convention center there, and they actually changed it over to Nashville. And we were at the Music City Center, which is really cool. Someone like myself, going back to my roots, the 12 volt, the car audio industry, and being around those folks and seeing some of the latest and the greatest tech that's out there, some really cool installs and builds as well. Being around that, being around literally Music City, which is Nashville. And for those of you who live under a rock, I mean, that's basically country music is Nashville. I am definitely a country music fan. I wasn't always, especially coming out of the Northeast, born and raised New Yorker. Kind of got some strange looks bumping some country music down the road back in the day. But that didn't happen till later in life, but that's a whole other topic, whole other day. But what I wanted to do is just come in here and share an update about that, what's going on the travel side of the house. And I want to tell you guys, I put a Facebook post up about this. I guess it was the day that I actually left. So my better half, my significant other, my girl, Catherine, we traveled together for this trip. This is the first trip that we've done, first speaking engagement that I've done where we actually traveled together. We've traveled all over the country, been to different places, but we never traveled together to get there. So that was really cool experience to have. And we hop on the plane. I take a photograph of the both of us. And for those of you who are on Facebook and Instagram, you follow me there, you probably saw this post go up. And I wrote this post. It's pretty long-winded. And I said, this is the second time in the year of 2024 that I've gotten onto a plane and traveled to a destination for work, for speaking, for attending an event, whatever you want to call it. Like I have very consciously, and the point I'm getting at here is I made a very conscious decision to not travel like crazy in the year of 2024. Go back to last year, 2023, even the year before that, 2022, 2021, all those years. I was on a plane a lot, especially last year, 2023. In 2023, I literally traveled the most that I ever have in my professional career. On average, every 2 weeks, I was on a flight to some different destination. And there's a lot of reasons why. We talk about hindsight being 2020, and I'm a firm believer that that's the case. And one of the reasons that I think that's so valid and so true because I was subconsciously looking for ways to remove myself from the household. For those of you who have been following along here for quite some time and know the situation, 2023, about a year ago this time, I started the proceedings of separating myself from my soon-to-be ex-wife and going our own separate ways and doing it with as screwed up as this may sound, doing this with the best intentions as possible, knowing that I was going into a really, really difficult season, not just for me, but for her as well. And also for our children and anyone else who was attached to it. I knew it was going to be impactful for all of us. And I wanted to do it in a way that left the least amount of ripple or waves as possible. And one of the things that I had to do, since we have split custody, 50-50 custody of our kids, is I had to ensure that I was prioritizing my children more so than I was prioritizing my business or helping others. I had to become even. They mean everything to me. And now, I mean, I've got 7 with the addition of Catherine's kids. Catherine's got 4 kids. I've got 3. So for those of you who are wondering what it's like here in the Keenan residence, at times it's complete pandemonium. We got 7 kids and 2 grown adults who own multiple businesses and are very busy schedules. Yeah, it's nuts. But I made this conscious decision to be home and be more frequently and more present more frequently for my kids for that very reason. Stuff I haven't talked about much, and I'll be very open about it, right? We all go through our struggles, and I know you guys come in here for a business damn podcast, but we got to talk about some of the personal stuff too, because in life, There are no business problems. All it is personal problems that carry over into your business, right? So we got to talk about this shit. A lot of people don't realize that too when they come in and work with me from a coaching perspective. They think I'm just going to be all about systems and processes. And yeah, cool. That's what we're doing here. We're getting things better in your business. But I oftentimes, for those of my clients who've worked with me for quite some time, you know that I'm reaching out and I'm checking in on you as a human being before we do anything that's work related. And I learned that from a coach that I hired many years ago named Dean Mercado. And Dean just picked up his family, moved from New York to, I believe, South Carolina. Good choice for you there, sir. If you're listening to this, solid move. Proud of you for making that choice. I know it's not an easy one. But again, I think it's very important that we talk about some of this stuff here, right? So go back to my story here. When I was 4 years old, my parents divorced. And my dad he's not a terrible guy by no stretch of the imagination. My dad has a disease that he's dealt with his whole life, and that disease is called alcoholism. Definitely passed some of those traits along to me. Even my mom's side of the family had the alcohol gene or trait or whatever the fuck you want to call it instilled in the DNA. So I got nailed from both sides of the house when it came to alcoholism. And my parents split up when I was 4 years old. And my dad was there. He showed up somewhat. He wasn't fully present. My dad was more concerned about, sitting his ass on a bar and getting drunk and drinking his Budweiser and smoking his pot than he was, me. And it took me a really long time to understand and realize that. It took me probably getting to about the age of 13 or so. And my mom, in my opinion, and mom, if you're listening to this, you did the right thing. Because my mom didn't instill these thoughts into my head. She didn't plant the seeds and say, oh, your dad is this, your dad is that, blah, blah, blah. She stood back and let me figure it out for myself. And I did. I mean, after a certain amount of time, you just do, right? And I realized that my dad was more concerned with sitting his ass in a bar stool and hanging out with his bar buddies than he was going to work and getting things done or taking care of me outside of anything that had to do with sports. When it came to sports, my dad was present because that's what he was into as a human being. And honestly, he started to play the good old, hey, I'm gonna vicariously live through my son because my glory days age has passed, and therefore he was very involved in my early age. We'll call it from the age of 6 to probably 17. Right around the age of 17 is when I stopped playing sports. For a couple of reasons. And, having that experience of a not so great experience with a not so present parent due to a divorce and several other factors, including, we'll call it the alcoholism and other, struggles and whatnot my dad faced. And I'm not mad at my dad. Like, it is what it is. I'm well beyond being mad at him at this point in my life. And he's someone who I communicate with on a regular basis. So I don't want you guys to think that I hate him either. Right. But going through that and having those experiences, those not so good, maybe if you want to call them negative experiences, taught me what not to do when it comes to being a parent. Now, am I the best parent ever? Fuck, I'll never say that. Like, I think everyone has room to improve in any area of their life or business at any given time. I don't care how good you are or how good you think you're currently doing. You could always be better. Right? It's just my theory on it. So, coming into this whole situation last year for myself, I made this very conscious decision not to travel as much because I wanted to be present for my kids. And, this past year was not easy. It was the most difficult year of my adulthood. Made some of the hardest decisions and had some of the hardest conversations that I've ever had in my entire life. And at the end of the day, I'm okay with the decisions that have been made. Because I knew staying in that relationship was not the right thing for me, Thomas, the human being, the person, the individual. And if I had stayed there and not ruffled feathers and gone along with it from the outside looking in, everything was all perfect, cushy, nice. I couldn't continue to live that. And honestly, it was a lie. And it was eating me up inside. And it was time to pull away from it, right? So I did so last year. And again, going back into it, that was one of the main reasons of me not traveling so heavily this year. And what it has done was it has helped me realize that my business for my business to sustain and grow, I don't need to travel as crazy as I was last year. Cause I used the excuse at myself at the time, oh, I'm traveling all this so I can grow the business. I can put money on the, basically put food on the table and put money in the bag. Right. And at the end of the day, here we are. We're 4 months, almost 5 months into 2024. I've made 2 trips that required me to get on a plane, and we're still here, still making money, still adding clients to Step It Up Academy on a weekly basis. Like, okay, cool. Let's debunk that myth that we need to travel in order to make money. Right. And that may not be the case for everyone, but that's the case from my business and the business model and structure that I've put into place for myself, which is Step It Up Academy. So I've spent this renewed extra time that I've received back because I'm not traveling so much. Like, even if we travel, you guys, for those of you, we all understand this. The travel time to and from, we lose time there. And I don't care if you're efficient. I don't care if you open your laptop and you're getting work done, you're still losing time. Me staying back here and being present at home has enabled me to pick up on additional minutes each and every day. We're at the point now here where these minutes have began to basically compound on themselves and giving me up and freeing up lots of extra hours and days over the course of the almost 5 months that we're here through 2023. What that's enabled me to do is climb into the deep end of the back end of my business, if that makes sense, and really revamp some systems and processes. I invested some money into building some of the processes out in the backside of the business. Shout out to Braxton Wood. He came in and helped me out with some workflows in my high level account. And I know Braxton for years at this point. Braxton worked for me when I was a BFA and did a hell of a job there. So thank you, sir, for helping me out with that project. And it also lit and inspired me to get back in there and build out some of the things that I had been putting off for quite some time. You know, when we have leads and sales and stuff coming in on a regular basis without us having to put people through this systemized follow-up process, we kind of just say, I don't need that process built or finalized yet because I have so many new leads that are coming through. I'm having these new phone calls daily, if not weekly, that I just don't need to follow up with them or put them into a follow-up process or workflow or email sequence or SMS sequence. And I'm here to tell you, like, yeah, that may be the case. You may have a lot of stuff coming in, but you're still losing business. And over the last, we'll call it probably 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks at this point, I've really jumped in heavy and revamped and rebuilt the whole back end process when it comes to sales and follow-up for Step It Up Academy. And, you know, at this point with this trip that recently just came, I collected over 20 leads while speaking at that show. I built a system that actually captures leads while I'm speaking from stage. I think I might have talked about it last week when I was mentioned in the podcast or recording the podcast. And, you know, here we are. I got back into town Sunday evening. And we've got 20 plus people in the system that I'm going to now follow up with and market to. 20 more people know my name and know my face and have interacted with me face to face in a room in like a real human being, human interaction. So now you couple that with leveraging technology, leveraging social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, connecting with them over there, connecting with them via email and SMS through the automated workflows and follow-up campaigns that myself and my team have built and put together here. And now we're just priming ourselves to close more deals. So now this system is built. And if I get a lead in, whether I close that lead or not, they still go into the follow-up machine that we've built. And something that I'm proud of here is, like, you know, we spent a lot of time in the back end designing this system, right? And this is something that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to follow-up. Yes, you can build the follow-up system and you can build all the framework and the structure and you can make it happen and build the automations and all that kind of fancy shit. But you also have to then go in and write the email copy or the SMS copy. And when I say copy, I don't mean to copy something. I'm talking like copywriting, right? You got to go in there and write the email itself. You got to write the SMS. And this is, luckily in today's day and age, we have tools like Chat GPT, and we don't necessarily have to go out and hire a very expensive copywriter. And this is what we did, hop into Chat GPT. Hey, I've got a follow-up sequence. It's 12 months long, and they send an email once a month. This is the client. This is what we sell. This is our offer. We train Chat GPT on what we offer as a company, the services that we provide, who we like to do business with, who the target market and the avatar is, who the target audience, all that stuff goes into Chat GPT, and it helps us craft this framework for what the email or the message is going to be. Now, if you're just copying and pasting that shit into your email follow-up and you're not adjusting it and tweaking it to sound more like you, that's a big no-no in my opinion. While also doing this, I have gone in and trained ChatGPT to write like Tomas Keenan. And this is something anyone can do. I may have a leg up on the competition simply because I've written so much content over the last, we'll call it 7 years, between Facebook posts, blogs, emails, email marketing, SMSs, my book, right? Like I have a ton of documents at my fingertips because I keep my shit organized. I use things like Google Drive and Dropbox. I'm not so much Dropbox anymore. I hate to break it to you, but Google Drive's my go-to. But I have all this stuff organized. So when training ChatGPT to write like me, it was a simple matter of, hey, just keep uploading and feeding ChatGPT these new blurbs and Facebook posts and documents that we all put together in the manuscript for my book. And then after a while, ChatGPT is like, hey, yeah, we got this. We know how to speak like Tomas Keenan at this point. So now when I'm prompt engineering or creating a prompt to do something, it's like, hey, act as a world-class email marketer. We have to write an email follow-up campaign that's going to be 6 emails long. They're going to be spaced out once per month. This is the topic. This is what we're following up on. And at the end of it, I will write, be sure to write this in the voice and words of Tomas Keenan. And is it perfect? No. It's ChatGPT for Christmas sake. But it gets me pretty darn close. And what winds up happening is I will grab that copy, I'll massage it a little bit, and then I'll pump it right back into ChatGPT and say, hey, make this a little bit better. Make this sound more like Tomas Keenan. And it might take 2 or 3 iterations of me pushing that content right back into ChatGPT. But what comes out of it at the end is definitely better. And still, at the end of this, we're still taking that generated copy from ChatGPT and we're still massaging it a little bit more. Right? For instance, ChatGPT keeps wanting to sign me off for my emails with like best regards or some shit. Best regards, comma, Tomas Keenan. And I keep telling ChatGPT like, hey, Tomas Keenan would never say that, right? Like, I'm Tomas Keenan. I'm telling you, I would never write that in a fucking email. So for some reason, ChatGPT can't get that through its thick head, but I have faith. I'm sure it will eventually. But hey, I'm kind of just rambling here today. I wanted to give you guys some game, give you guys some insight into what's going on the personal side of the house from me, give you guys some game when it comes to follow up and basically leveraging the time that we have. Listen, you guys have all heard this before. It's cliche, but deal with it. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. What we choose to do with it is what makes the difference, right? And with this newfound additional time, this newfound time of me being home and being present with the kids and the family, I've also found more time for me to do work here in my home office because I'm not traveling so much. That was the 1% change that I needed, the update, the upgrade that's enabled me to pour more time back into my business, which has allowed me to go into the back end structure and rebuild the systems and processes I know that are going to be needed. I worked on foundational shit that is going to be needed for the next level, the next iteration, the next version of scaling for Step It Up Academy. So I hope this inspires you. I hope you guys got something from this. If you did, feel free, like all the other podcast hosts ask you to do right now, go ahead and leave a damn review on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to this. But more importantly, if you're on the fence, if you're interested in possibly having a conversation with me about coming in to work with myself or anyone else here on the team at Step It Up Academy, I'd be more than happy to do so with you. Best way to connect with me is head over to connectwiththomas, TOMAS.com. And you'll find links there to all the social media stuff, all the websites, and you'll find a place where you can actually download my contact information at the top of that page. Feel free to shoot me a text message or connect with me via email, and I'd be more than happy to have that conversation with you. All right. Hope you guys got something from this. And if you did, great. If you didn't, keep coming back and listening anyway, because I'm sure one of these episodes is going to resonate with you. Have an awesome day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast. Make sure you head over to stepitupentrepreneur.com and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast.